There you go.
We are live. We are live right now. We will wait for some folks to join. I'm just going to go ahead and do the countdown, and then we will hop right into it.
Yes.
Yo, yo, yo. What is up, everybody?
Good morning.
Let's get going up in here. Today, I'm super excited as we get some folks just joining us. This is Unstuck, your business live. It's all about virtual assistants, all about how you can start leveraging your time in your business by having folks that are fighting for your cause, want your business to win. We do that with virtual assistant guys. So this is what this whole episode's about. Today, we're going to be talking about how to train your VA to close, the action steps to get them to the point to where they're ready to take the leap. So if you're tuning in and you're in the Real Estate Hustlers group or you're in the WGR, you guys are most likely realtors. So today's topic is a lot for real estate investors. So if you are a realtor, you can definitely take some value from this episode today. It's all about having more tools in your tool belt. So I'm excited to share this information with you. I'm excited to have everyone here. If you are in the WGR, right? If you're in the WGR and you're interested in learning more about wholesaling, you want to add that tool to your tool belt. We are having an event in May right out here in Scottsdale, Arizona, a really, really, really nice house. And we're excited for the event. So if you guys want to join, just shoot me an email, mattbeard@vahub.com. If you want to get information on that live event, we're going to be talking about virtual wholesaling. We're going to be talking about how to do that with VAs. I'm joined today by my good man, Don. Don, say what's up.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning. So welcome to our live. And if you have any questions or anything, go ahead and hit us up.
Hit us up. I'm going to play you through my headphones here. So today is going to be really cool. Don is a lead manager for our business. Don, he's actually acquisitions now. He started as a VA who was doing cold calling, and he worked his way up. So I think it was so important to have him on. Guys, as you're just joining in, please be sure to comment on this video, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we have a VA Hub YouTube channel, and I have my own personal one. Please go and subscribe to us, because that's where these videos are live every single week, because you might miss it on Facebook, and we don't want you to miss it.
Yes, sir.
So as you're joining in, please comment on the video where you're at in your business as well, what's working in your marketing, and what you need help with. We do these lives every single week. We hop on here so you guys can get some value, see what's working in the industry, and we're here to serve you in any way that we can. We actually have a lot of cool things coming out that I'm excited to announce. But we'll probably get into that here in a little while. But yeah, comment. We want to see where you guys are at. We're here to help. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about training your VA to close. And what we mean by close is we're training the virtual assistant to actually be able to talk to a homeowner, negotiate a price, and get that property under contract for wholesaling purposes. Now, if you're a realtor and you're like, well, I don't do wholesaling, I don't do any of that. Well, you can still, by using the same framework, you can train a VA to take a listing presentation for you, take it from start to finish, and take that and set you up with said client to get the listing presentation signed. They may not sign it for you, but they'll at least hand it off to you at the very end, where they're like, they want to work with us, Scott. They want to work with us, John. They want to work with us, Sue, right? Hand that off to you, and you get the listing agreement signed. So same framework, just applied in different ways, right? The value proposition different between realtors and real estate investors is very simple. Realtors, you're going in to get a listing, right? You want your commission percentage. Real estate investors, we're going in with a cash offer. So why not have both, right? So even if you're a realtor, why not be able to have the cash offer on the table? And if it's not the right fit for your client, maybe you can look at the other options, and maybe listing is the best thing for your client. And of course, you're a badass. You're a high-performing realtor. you know you can serve that person. So keep that in mind as we go through this. That's just one of the things that I definitely want to discuss before we got into it. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Don,
Yo,
you started in our business, man. What was the first things you were doing when we first started working together? Say hey to Cash for me.
oh hi, oh yeah, he's here.
I love it.
Oh yeah. Well, technically, before I actually started with you, Matt, I'm actually doing a lot of stuff, a lot of admin stuff, a lot of, you know, overall, a lot of work.
Yes. Keeping the books for weed dispensary, you got the whole thing.
Yes, sir. So actually, before I actually started, I started as a circle prospector. I'm actually working with different types of realtors, and in every client that we actually have, they actually have their own platforms in terms of how we do this, how we do that, you know. So
Yep.
at first, it's easy that I am communicating with different types of leads and all that, right? But however, in terms of approach, it's really different, right? So, client A, I want you to do this. Client B, you need to do this, do that, and do that. Um, Here with us, we need to unlearn some stuff for us to learn better in terms of, um, for example, like when you guys are working with realtors, right? What you need to do is you always put yourself in the position that you are the best to deal with, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of us right now, what we do is we put the ball on their court for us to identify what we can do best for them, right?
Right. So
Hmm.
coming to not approaching every situation the same, right? If you're a hammer, then everything becomes a nail. But being,
Correct.
that old adage and, cliche thing, but it's the truth. You want to be able to have multiple tools. So when you first got started with us, you obviously have a real estate background.
Right.
And I tell some folks who ask me, it's like, well, they like Matt. So I need to have someone with real estate background. I don't have anyone. I can't find a VA that has a good real estate background. I'm like, I'd rather have them have none because I spend the first 2, 3 months trying to unlearn bad habits, right?
True.
Where a lot of folks feel like I have real estate knowledge. Like, what is that? Is that local to the Philippines, or local to whatever country, or is that with other real estate agents or whatever that business was? Maybe their model is completely different. Actually, I can guarantee that whatever you're doing before is probably completely different than what you're going to do for our company, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So,
Totally
getting
different.
started, I think a lot of people start here. You start right here. You start by hiring a virtual assistant to help you prospect, right? Because the challenge is, as a professional, it doesn't matter if you're a realtor or a real estate investor, you need more leads in your business. You got to have opportunities. If you don't have opportunities, you don't have a business. So,
Correct.
with that being said, I don't know about you guys, but number one, I suck at follow up. I don't want to follow up. I want to work with people who are ready to go right now. And that's just me, man. That's just me. I'm just not great at follow up without constant reminders all the time,
Hmm.
right? It wasn't my full time thing, even though, yes, I know it was very, very important. That's why I ended up hiring someone to help me do that, right?
Yes, sir.
Someone who's tenacious, like a Don, who can do it and be really, really, really good at it. So
Yes.
you need more leads in your business, and that's the foundation. So it doesn't matter if you're a realtor, real estate investor, circle prospecting for homeowners in the area who just want to sell, right? We're finding the same people
That's right.
between realtors and real estate investors. We're finding the same people. We're just finding homeowners who are motivated. The difference is the value proposition. The difference is how we solve their problem. Do we
Correct.
solve
That's right.
everyone's problem by listing their property? 9 times out of 10, no. But that is always on the table because we have multiple options, right? We have multiple things that we can do. So when you guys get started, number one, you have to get a virtual assistant. So you want to leverage your time. So I'm just taking for this live, I'm just taking the understanding that you guys are already there. You already have a virtual assistant. You already have someone that's helping you prospect, right?
That's right.
Because as a business owner, you should be sitting down, getting contracts, having conversations with sellers, and solving their problems, whatever that solution might be. That is your job, right? Or at least someone on your team, that is their job to solve that person's problem. So
That's
I'm
true.
assuming you guys already have a virtual assistant. So Don started in our company as a cold caller. Is that right, Don?
That's correct. Yep.
Love it. So what was that job like as a cold caller for us?
Okay.
What did you do?
So what I'm doing is, since we actually have like different niche of leads, right? What we
Mhm.
do is we focus on one certain niche first, then we're trying to get through all of the leads as as uh, uh, um, as quick as possible, right? So, for example, if we have like 5,000 lists, we want to know if it's like needle in a haystack, you have like 5,000 leads, but however those 5,000 leads, I mean, there's only few people who's like really are into selling their property. um they have thought about selling their property, and most of them are are like a time sucker, to be honest, you know
Right. So, but the
and
but the job is
mhm,
simple. The job is simple. You hop on, we're calling homeowners, right?
yes.
Probably
Hmm.
a lot of similar stuff that you're doing as a realtor or whatever, right? As a realtor, maybe you'll call a neighborhood around one of your listings
Hmm.
just to say,
That's right.
"Hey, I actually got a listing down the road from you. Would you be interested in or have you considered selling this year?" Whatever, right?
Right.
You're calling people cold. So it doesn't matter
That's
what that list is, concept is still the same. We're prospecting trying to find homeowners who want to sell their property.
right.
And how can we help them? And that's what you started at, Don. You started as someone cold calling, trying to find homeowners, right? But what happens is, guys, we're gonna fast forward to what happens, right? So you have a virtual assistant, and look, there is no shortage of. There's a lot of people you're gonna bring in. There's a lot of people you can hire. There is just like I think of 40, 45 virtual assistants. We have three VAs that can do the acquisition. There's a reason for that because it's high skill level. So what happens is you start growing your business because you need leads. So one VA turns to two VAs, two VAs turns to three VAs, three VAs turns to four VAs. And now you got so many leads, you're like running around, going crazy, trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I got this lead. I don't want to mess up this one, but then I got this other appointment, but then I got to follow up with this homeowner, and it just gets insane. So the first step of getting a virtual assistant to help you at a higher level, now that you have the leads, the foundation, is you identify your top talent, right? You
True.
identify the people who are the most proficient. So
That's right.
Don is one of those people. Don was one. He wasn't even, I think he was a cold caller for a short period of time with us. I think
Yeah.
maybe it was like maybe 2 months, maybe
two
3 months,
months 2 months 2 months.
2 months. There we go.
Yep.
So there is no timeline on this aspect, but it's just looking at your system as a whole and promoting from within. Now, there is services out there where you guys can go hire a virtual assistant that can do your lead managing, right? There's just this big wave because we've been talking about it now. We've been talking about lead managers, I feel like, for almost a year now.
Hmm.
And I'm starting to see little things pop up like hire a lead manager, hire, do this. You can go to a service and you can find someone that they're going to promise the world to you, but you're going to be
That's true.
very mistaken because these folks are freaking diamonds in the rough. Like you have to dig these out. You have to refine this talent. You can't. I mean, from what I have seen and what we've experienced in the past, we had a terrible experience hiring a lead manager directly, right?
True.
The greatest thing about promoting from within is they understand your culture and they understand how your business works. They understand how the business makes money, right? They get the big picture. So, that's the start, right? You identify your top talent. Don was one of the top talents. He was one of the best, right? He was doing well in the cold calls. You can just tell he really got it, right? The other acquisition people too that we have, you can just tell that they had a higher, intelligence level of understanding how we make money on these leads and how
Correct.
to actually talk to people. Communications the biggest thing, right? We care about attitude and communications, like how are they communicating with other folks and what is their attitude with approaching their job. So, number 1, you got to identify your people. You got to know them very well. Now, I don't again,
Profile.
there is no perfect system here, right? There is no perfect timeline. I don't know if it's intuition or me just being emotionally involved with all of my virtual assistants, As like being a leader, guys, we do our daily huddles. We've talked about this before on these episodes. We do our daily huddles, our stand up meetings. Some of you guys. We also do our call calibrations once a week, and we just pour into our virtual assistants because they're people, man. They're not robots. They're not your bookkeeper. They're not your secretary. They are folks that are like they're employees. They're working for you. They're working in your business. So the more that you pour into them, the better your system's going to be. I've talked about this as well. Like there is no dollars that can replace this, right? It's always about what sets the biggest, most successful organizations apart from other folks that are in the same industry, right? Oh, we're spending the same money, we're marketing to the same people, we have the same tools. Where you set yourself apart and the determining factor is the people inside the business
Correct.
that is working, right? How can I
Culture.
get them to be freaking amazing? So do that. We promote from within, okay? By identifying our best talent, right? So Don was one of those. Don,
Homegrown.
homegrown,
Homegrown. Yes, sir.
right there, homegrown. So you've identified them. You said, okay, John, or whatever that virtual assistant is for you guys, this person here, let's just say, you know, um, let's just say Sue. Sue, she is amazing. She's the person. She's really really good. She's proficient on the calls. I really like how she approaches it. Her tone's good, or her pacing is good on the calls. She knows how to talk to homeowners. Great. How can I give her more responsibility? Right. The challenge is you want to pour into your people, right? You want to give them more responsibility. You want to give them more things to do because you don't want to spend all your time pouring into them and then them go find another job because you're trying to skimp out on how much you pay them, right? Because the challenge is like there will be other opportunities for them. So how can you get your folks to buy into your vision, right? You do that by giving them more responsibilities, more cool things to work on, and also increasing their pay over time. So that is base level. You've now identified them. Now it's time to start bringing on the responsibilities. We promote them, and it's a slow roll. Guys, so in real estate investing, what's the next role after cold calling, Don?
Lead manager.
Lead manager. So what does a lead manager do? Just short, simple answer.
Okay. Well, for lead manager, what's gonna happen is, they will have a deeper conversation from cold calling, right? They will verify the things that you have gathered for them, and dig deeper in terms of uh, why are they selling the property, right? So from there, what's gonna happen is the lead managers will start to build trust in terms of communicating with them. Like, okay, so what's your end goal in terms of you guys selling the property? Something like that, right?
Mhm.
So
So it's a higher level conversation because this is
that's right.
where the lines get a little blurred, and for most folks, they don't get this part, and I can understand why, because there's so much gray area in the leads. But to put it simply, and to draw the line in the sand, the lead manager's job is to further that conversation,
Further
right?
vet. That's right.
Their job is to take Mr. Seller who said they would be interested in getting an offer on their property, and we have some basic information on it. How do we know that this person's really ready to make a decision? Where are they at in the selling process? What is their true motivation?
True.
Then steps the lead manager who will dig deeper and get that information. They don't give offers, they don't negotiate contracts. We're
Right.
just digging deeper. They dig deeper into
Dig
the
deeper.
lead, make sure they're not tire kickers, and then they
Yes.
push it on. Right. And another job as a lead manager is to manage the leads, do the follow ups. Right.
Follow-ups. Constant
There's 3
follow-ups.
things, guys, that a lead manager would do. I mean, one of 3 things has to happen with the leads in our database. Either number 1, they're ready to sell, right? They're ready to have that acquisition call. Great. We'll push that to the sales team. Number 2, they're like, "Yeah, well, I'm still about 90 days out," or "I have a family member living in the property," or "The lease ends in 6 months," whatever. They're not ready to sell right now, and there's no matter what you say, they're never gonna sign an agreement right now,
True.
right?
True.
So this is a follow-up. So that's the number 2 thing. So either they're ready to sell, number 1, number 2, it's a follow-up, and the third thing, is they're a tire kicker or someone not really motivated. And by the time you call them, like, oh, I never said I wanted to sell my property, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
Big
That's
time
right.
suck. So we remove those from our system. We don't keep them for later. We just say, hey, we got other things we need to focus on. And this is big for you guys too. You want your system to be efficient. You want to make sure that you're not just keeping everything just for the sake of keeping a lead because you paid, whatever. This
Yeah.
person isn't motivated. We want to get them off of our mental energy. We want to focus on the people in our database that are ready to sell or we need to follow up on because that's
That's right.
going to take a lot of energy, not trying to make a deal out of stuff that's not a deal. So that is a lead manager in a nutshell, right? It's a step
That's
up
right.
from the VA. So it's not that big of a leap, right? It's not that big of a step. Going from VA to lead manager, there is certainly more responsibilities. You have to have a deeper understanding how to talk to homeowners. You got to have the emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
right? So not every VA is going to be the right fit for this. A lot of VAs are going to be very proficient, like a robot, going through the script, getting leads, going through the script, getting leads. Becoming a lead manager requires that virtual assistant to know how to talk to people, right? Not just pacing and tonality and saying the script, but also understanding how to have a conversation, right? So
That's
that's
right.
super duper duper important to understand. Not everybody's going to be the right fit for this. So if you hired one VA already and you're like, well, I want that VA to do the managing, there's a good chance that they're just not the right fit to be a lead manager. You probably need to go ahead and hire three more VAs first, maybe four more VAs. And hopefully, not guaranteed, that one of those four or five VAs has the emotional intelligence that you can intuitively tell that they understand how this works, and they'll be the ones that you'll promote to become a lead manager, right? But it's not that big of a jump. I'm just giving them some more responsibilities. It's a slow thing. Doesn't happen overnight, right? Like typically, I'll let them continue to get their reps with cold calling while also on the other half of their shift, they're in low leverage situations. So you promote them, you're giving them some responsibilities. If you guys who are watching don't have our lead managing script, please email me. If you don't have my email, it is actually in the description of this video where I talk about the wholesaling event we're doing in May. You can also email me here at mattbeard@vahub.com. I'll get you the lead managing script. But all I want them to do for a short period of time when they're shift, probably for the first 2 to 4 weeks, is just further that conversation, dig a little bit deeper, right? And put them in low leverage situations, right? This is so,
Yes.
so, so important. You don't train them by putting them in on your hottest leads. You train lead managers or anyone, doesn't matter if it's a VA in the Philippines, a VA in Europe, VA in Mexico, your friend down the way, your buddy from college, your aunt, your uncle, don't matter. You want to train them in low leverage situations, right? You
Yeah.
don't want them on the hottest ones that they could possibly blow up the opportunity. In reality check, anyone on your team is including you, you're going to blow up great opportunities, right? But they're also learning lessons. We talk about correcting and continuing, but that's another conversation for another day. Train them in low leverage situations, and it happens slowly. Don't just throw them into the fire and hope for the best. Like Don was a cold caller half his shift for a while
Yeah.
and lead managing for the other half of his shift for a while, right?
That's right.
Put him in low leverage situations where he's not nervous, he's not afraid he's going to mess it up. Even though I tell him it's okay to mess up leads, they don't want to do that, right? No one wants to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but you train them in low leverage stuff. So half of the shift I recommend when you get ready to take that lead, when you get ready to make that jump, that short jump from VA cold calling to lead managing, you get ready to make that jump. You keep it low leverage. So maybe people who said they want retail, but you didn't get enough notes or they didn't seem that motivated, get them on those calls so they can dig deeper and get their repetitions because repetitions is going to make them really, really, really good. And that goes for you too.
Practice.
Repetitions with anything is going to make you good. So put them in situations where they're not extremely pressured that something's got to happen. You as the business
Yes.
owner, you as a salesperson should probably be the one making the high level conversations to get the contracts. Because we talked about it before, the book Clockwork, right? By Michael McAllowitz. He talks about your queen bee role. Your queen bee role is getting contracts. And typically you as a business owner serves your queen bee role if you're just getting started. So before you can delegate your queen bee role, you got to make sure it's properly done. That the folks that you hand the task off to has slowly built their way up to getting that knowledge level. Look, we all start from zero. As the business owner, you start from
True.
zero, right? And by repetitions and doing it, you get better and better and better. We all suck in the beginning. Everyone,
True.
I'm sure the first couple calls Don made with realtors, he sucked. And I'm sure the first couple calls he made with lead managing, it was horrible, right?
That's
But
true.
by doing it, you get better and better. So, like, this isn't new information for anyone, but just reiterating how important it is to do this the right way and not try to do it, have a shortcut and spend a bunch of money on someone and then you get burned. Because the only way you ever get burned or get scammed is when you're trying to do a shortcut, right?
That's right. Hmm.
So don't do that, guys. Promote from within and build it up slowly because we're not in it to just get 4 deals this month and then be done. We're not in it to make a bunch of money this month and then say, "Oh, we had a good run." Like we're in it for the long run. You want to make sure that you're developing, you're slowly doing this process so when the time comes and for you like you're out of the stuff that you don't want to do every single day that it's been delegated properly, right? But if it's done improperly, your business will crash just as fast as you try to build it up. So, very important to identify your top performing VAs, promote them within by giving them more responsibilities, and then train them in low leverage situations. Don, that's what we did with you, right?
That's right. Yep. Definitely. I am your mini me, Matt Beard. Yeah. So, guys, I mean, no one is born with great talents. I mean, um, we need to have constant practice for us to be good at something. Like
Mhm.
even Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Those are the legend, right? They are the GOAT, greatest of all time. But for them to reach that at that particular edge, I mean, man, at the background, they
Just
keep on,
hours and hours and hours and hours
practice,
of training. Like this is something
training
that
and
you guys
practice.
don't
That's
see
right.
either. Like every single day, I'm working with my team. Like
That's
that
right.
takes up a lot of my time. Is every day I'm there to answer objections or help them overcome objections or give tips on deals or underwrite the deals or whatever. Like I'm there as a resource for the team. And in a perfect world, I'd just be like, hey, I want you guys to start closing contracts, close deals. And then that was the last time I had to think about it. But that's not the case. Like,
Right.
and honestly, I love doing it. It fulfills me for sure to be able to know that my impact, the words that I say, can help you guys be more successful as well. So, but I mean, it's very, very, very active. This is not a passive thing. It's very active. Always trying to make the system better. I'm always trying to make you guys be more equipped with the most recent, you know, knowledge or any kind of little nuances in conversation that I use in my calls that you can start implementing in yours, right? It's always we're trying to get better. We're always trying to get better. And that's why it's a slow rolling thing. And I'm super happy now because, yes, I know for sure that I can leave the business for 3 days and I know that we'll probably have a deal,
Yes, sir.
right? I know that we
100%.
can do that now. But the reality is, I still check and I still make sure you guys are getting the resources you need to make sure that we're all going to be successful,
Yes, sir.
right? So that is fundamental, guys. You've now identified them, you promoted them, you've given them responsibilities, you've trained them in the low leverage situations, like Don was saying. That's what we did for him, right?
Yes, sir.
We put him in the position of calling these homeowners that, either I have sucked at following up with, and he would call them to bring them back to life, put them back on my calendar, or the folks that were just in the database that we needed one of those three things. They're ready to sell, they need to be followed up on, or they dead. One of
Yes,
those
sir.
three things. So that was the start. And then we're here to talk about training your VAs to close, right? We're here to get them to that level. I
Hmm.
think you have like a small bridge between VA to lead manager. We can train that skill in a short period of time, right? That might take a month to get
Right.
them pretty decent understanding, maybe 2 months, right? But that's a jump. It is certainly a jump in an understanding of how these conversations flow. But getting them to the point where they can close, man,
Crucial.
that is the next level, right? But these things have to happen first. You have to promote from within and you have to slowly give the responsibilities because the reality is any salesperson, right? Everybody has their own process. I communicate differently than Don communicates. Don communicates differently the way Ira communicates. Ira communicates differently than the way Mara communicates. So we all have our own little tweaks in the way that we talk to people, and we all have our own little sales process. But the idea is the same, right? We have to be able to build rapport with sellers. We have to be able to build trust and
Yes, sir.
understanding what sellers mean when they say things, right?
That's right.
Buyers are liars and sellers are worse, whatever that line. It's the truth because like the seller isn't going to tell you what they really mean. Like, oh, I need to sleep on it. Or, I need to talk to my aunt or my uncle or my cousin or my brother or my sister, whatever. Like there's little nuances, there are little things in these conversations to where if I can teach these virtual assistants, my acquisition team, like how to overcome those objections, like you're only during the sales process, you're only gonna get like a handful of objections. But being
True.
able to approach the situation differently from different angles, depending on the kind of personality you're talking to. Are you talking to an analytical engineer person? We need to get straight to the point,
That's right.
right? Are we talking to an emotional person who likes to talk? Are we talking to a yellow personality? Maybe I need to spend a lot more time in the rapport building stage, right? I need to get more, understanding and just being an ear, right? So maybe that's a longer close. So, but that skill takes time and it takes them getting on those conversations to get better at it. So, before you get ready to give them that leap. So this is part 1, guys. Part 2, we're going to be breaking down how exactly we do the acquisition. But before you can make that monstrous leap to doing the acquisition side, because that is a completely different skill set, because completely different skill level, these first things have to happen. So preparing for the leap, what I recommend is getting some closing resources. What we love is that masterclass with Chris Voss. It's amazing, right? He
Yes.
talks about tonality. He talks about mirroring. He talks about how to communicate with people. And we gave that to you guys. We gave you the login on it,
Yes,
right?
sir.
But
Hmm.
that's just a small sample. We have all sorts of resources. What I started doing was I started recording my seller calls, right? Any kind of conversation I started having with sellers, I started recording them. Now I'm doing video so that way they can see my body language when I'm talking. But ultimately, having those resources so they can hear what an actual seller call is going to sound like. How do I do the pre-sale? How do I get the upfront agreement from the seller? How do I build rapport? How do I approach talking about numbers? And when is that appropriate?
That's right.
Right? How
Good.
do I go through the post sale once I get an agreement from the seller that they're going to sign? How do I explain the post sale? How do I explain escrow, title, earnest money, all these things? Like you can have all the little trainings and the other people, acquisition courses and all this stuff, but hearing live conversations is the best form of teaching. So we also talk about this aspect is very, very important. You can't lead someone to do something that you've never done yourself. So if you're hoping to hire a virtual assistant that's going to close deals for you, you can't do that if you've never closed a deal.
True.
You can't do that if you've never talked to a homeowner.
That's right.
So if you've never done it, you best either number one, go out and eat crap for a while and do it, right? Or, obviously it's the best thing you could be doing for your business to generate revenue. So go do that thing. Or if that's not you and you just feel so uncomfortable with it, if you do it, you'll be liberated. But let's just say you won't. No matter what, you have such reluctance to it, you won't do it, then great. Give away a part of your business to someone who will. Find a salesperson who will go out there and do the conversations, make the phone calls, knock on the doors, and has the know-how and the knowledge to then lead your VAs to get them to that level and start recording these calls, showing the techniques and having the resources to then make that leap, right?
True.
So it's all building up to this point. So for this episode of Unstuck Your Business, number 1, we talk about you got to leverage your time. That's the beginning. You got to have more leads. And then once you start leveraging your time because you start focusing on instead of fundamental beginning of, conversations, cold prospecting. You're now working the warmer leads. Now you're working the hotter leads. Now you're leveraging your time. Take your virtual assistants. Like, how can you get out of this whole thing? You start by identifying your virtual assistants at the foundation, giving them the resources. You promote them from within. You give them responsibilities, right? You train them in low leverage situations. And then before you make that final delegation to get them to close and train them to close, you put resources in place where they can hear actual conversations and they have the courses they need, like an acquisition course. I talked about masterclass, but really there is no better thing other than listening to real conversations. So that's a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, guys. That's got to happen first before you do anything. Before you do anything, you start there. You start with those first four things. Would you agree with that, Don?
I completely agree on that one, Matt. I mean, for you guys to understand where you guys are really at, you need to be one of the best on what you do first before you can actually delegate things to your VAs. I mean, the only thing that would hinder your VAs is your limit. So I mean,
Mhm.
if you're pushing yourself to the limit, of course your VAs will do the same thing. I mean,
Right.
if your weakness is talking to to those homeowners, and you're just no, I just want to pass this job to you because well, guess what, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's not
um
gonna work, and it goes for everything, every aspect of your business. A lot of people talk about you gotta wear every hat. Well, at least you need to have the know-how. Like, I can't hire someone to help me with my systems if I don't even have any systems, right? We have a systems manager, Mark, and he does a lot for us. But I couldn't just be like, Mark, figure it out for me. Help me run a $100,000 business a month, right?
yeah,
I think
that's true.
that's very naive, man. It's crazy to even consider that people really think that's the case. People
Yeah,
really think that you're going to give them a business in a box, right? It's you got to be able to understand what you're trying to do before you can delegate it. So that's what you're saying, Don. So it doesn't matter
yes,
what position it is. Is it texting? Is it cold calling? Is it closing? Is it lead managing? Is it systems managing? Is it coaching? Whatever, like you gotta like you have to have the vision for your company, and then you have had to have some sort of doing it, or at least have people within your organization who have done it, so then they can delegate it. You can't
that's right.
just delegate something that you have no process or no history, no like demonstration
No
behind.
background.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you have
true.
to demonstrate. We talked about the 3 Ds of delegation. Number 1 was define the thing that you want to delegate. Number 2 was demonstrate. So the demonstration part is huge. That means that you have had done it, right? And you're ready to delegate it to someone else. You can't delegate something that you don't demonstrate, that you've never done.
That's
So
true.
these 4 things work, but they only work as well as you do as the
That's right.
business owner, right? Or your business partner. Maybe you have a business partner and you guys complement each other's skills. So, if you have an integrator, have someone help her or him with systems. If you have a visionary, have someone help her or him with the sales side, right? And have them delegate their task accordingly. But to take a VA and get them to the perfect world, perfect scenario, everybody wants this. They want to be able to have a VA close their deals. But you can't have a VA close your deals if you've never closed one,
Correct. Yes,
right?
sir.
Starts there.
100%.
But that is the vision. That's the framework. That's where you're going, and that's where you should go. That is the direction you should go, and it is definitely the way. But it doesn't happen like this.
Yep.
It happens by you leading the way as a business owner. You agree with that, Don?
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. You need to have constant hard work for
Mhm.
you to be able to attain that particular goal.
Right.
So
But
it's
but
not
it
as
can
easy.
happen and it will happen if you guys are going to be consistent.
Definitely, definitely.
Consistency with anything is tough. So
It
if you
is.
guys are not at the level where you haven't hired a VA yet, right? Or you haven't done a deal yet, or maybe you've done one, right? And you're trying to be consistent. A lot of people ask, where do I spend my money? How do I scale this business? Well, number one, you can't scale a business that doesn't exist. Just because you made a little bit of money on a deal does not mean you have a business,
That's right.
right? So start putting the pieces into place. And if you guys haven't gotten a deal and you're trying to get going, you've taken you months and you've taken you maybe even a year or two, and you're just stuck with trying to analyze every single thing to try to set up this perfect system. The system doesn't work if you don't. So I implore you guys, we have a challenge starting April 1st. It's currently going for a small sect of students, but if you're not in that sect of students, we have a challenge starting April 1st. It's called the One Door Away Challenge. If you guys email me, mattbeard@vahub.com, I will give you more information about the pre launch, right? So if you want to get in on the One Doorway Challenge, it's all about 30 days of building momentum to getting your first deal. And at the very least, if you don't have a deal signed in 30 days, you will, at the very minimum, have a big, robust pipeline of great opportunities. But it all starts with you taking action. So regardless of where you're at right now, it'll take you to the next level,
That's
right?
right.
And like it's crazy what we're already seeing. We're 11 days in on these guys, and we already have people having crazy amount of leads.
True.
So it works, man. All this stuff works. Everything that we talk about, everything that you hear, it works if you start implementing it and executing. The idea has nothing to do with it. The idea is garbage. You got to be able to execute on it. You got to be able to make it happen. That's one of our core values. Make shit happen.
Make shit happen. That's right.
Make shit happen. So that's important, guys. And if I can leave you with anything today before we get into part two next week, was where we're going to really break down the acquisition process. Start implementing this. If you don't have a VA, you need to start going out and making these corrections, making these challenges for yourself. Going out making all these mistakes. You got to start doing that for yourself right now, so you can document it, and then when you go to delegate these tasks, you've already made the mistakes, so you can tell your VAs, hey, don't do this, or maybe try this, or this worked really well, this didn't work really well. So start taking action on these things before you start delegating the higher level task. You agree with
That's
that,
right.
Don? What's your final thoughts for us, Don?
Well, for me, before you can actually create your own system, I mean, try to make sure that you got everything in hand. Get ready. I mean, for you to be able to step on the next step, you need to be ready. So, guys, who for all the investors, the realtors who are going to that level, man, I'm telling you, information is power.
Information is power, 100%. So like you guys can get the courses. Like we do have some really cool stuff. We have VA Hub Vault. We have this event that we're doing in May that is going to be all about setting up your business with virtual assistants and doing virtual wholesaling. That's going to be really cool. Again, guys, if you're just joining, you can email me, mattbeard@vahub.com, to get more information on that. But like we have all these things, and we're going to give you all the resources. We're like, and every single week we give you guys scripts, we give you guys like our best practices, stuff that we're actually doing in our business. But it really comes down to, are you implementing these things? There's no shortage of things out there that is going to try to draw your attention. Oh, well, what about this? And this person got a really big deal calling this. And what about all these things? Like there's shiny objects all over the place. I would say we talk about this when we talk about outsourcing basics. Pick one thing that you can be consistent with. So if you're watching this live today and you haven't gotten a deal, the one thing you can do is go join the One Door Away Challenge, because we give you an action item every single day for 30 days that is going to get you closer to your first deal. And again, at the very minimum, if you don't get a contract within that 30 days, you will have a crazy pipeline to where you should be generating 4, 5, 6 deals over the coming months. But it's what happens to you during that process. You become a different person. You become a different person. You get so good because you're making mistakes every single day that after 30 days, say, this is easy.
Yes,
Everything
sir.
gets a lot more simple. So, guys, this was episode number
Yep.
3, part 1 of how to train your VA to close. Take those 4 things to heart. Start identifying the talent you have in your organization. If you don't have it yet, tuck this away until you get some VAs within your company. You don't do this with one VA. You don't start doing this with 2 VAs. Your first 4 or 5 hires should be folks that are going to be prospecting for you. And then from that group, hopefully you find someone who stands out above the rest. You promote them by giving them more responsibilities. You train them with low leverage conversations, right? So they can prove themselves and get their repetitions. And then you prepare them for the leap, right? This may be 3 months later. This may be 6 months later, after they've already been you've been slowly feeding them opportunities. You've been slowly putting them into those low leverage conversations. Maybe after 3 or 6 months, you get them ready to start doing the acquisition. But it takes time, guys, but we're here for the long haul, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather have a real business rather than just something I'm going to make money on this month or next month,
That's
right?
right.
So build that. Think of the end in mind. And that is what I want to leave you guys with. Please tune in next week at 10:30. We're going to be doing it'll be Thursday next week at 10:30. We're going to be doing part 2 of this series where we're going to be breaking down the acquisition side. If you guys aren't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go to YouTube and subscribe because I drop 2 different things every single week. Number 1 is foundations, which is just base level, helping you guys understand the beginning concepts of trying to grow your business, right? And then number 2 is Yo Matt, which is where I answer a question from these lives in more of a long form. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please go over, check out the content. I do morning momentum every morning where I just check in with you guys. This week, we're actually talking all about marketing. So it's a ton of fun. I have my team members come on and join me because that's what it's all about. We collaborate. I want you guys to get our best practices that we spend a bunch of money on. Hopefully, you can take some value from it and start implementing it into your business. That's why we do these lives. That's why we come to you every single Thursday. Please, guys, if you like this video, you got some value from it, please share it with your friends and family and go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. We will see you next week. Peace.
See you guys.